What was daily life like in Solomon's temple? How did he manage his time among 700 noble wives and 300 concubines? Every day, women were prepared for a possible night with the king, bathing in fragrant waters, receiving massages with special oils, and having their hair adorned with golden threads. In the palace, nights followed luxurious traditions, rare perfumes, captivating dances, sacred baths, and carefully chosen jewelry to catch the king's attention. But the competition among these women went beyond beauty. You will understand how this vast harem functioned, what life in the temple was like, and in the end, we will reveal a terrifying secret, a supernatural creature that Solomon kept imprisoned with his famous ring. Stay until the end, because this revelation may change everything you have ever heard about the most famous king in history. But first, welcome to the channel O Verso Sagrado. Leave a like, comment, and share so we can bring more videos. Imagine yourself in the year 957 BC. The sun rising over Jerusalem revealed a breathtaking scene, an enormous structure on Mount Moriah with walls covered in pure gold, reflecting the light like a divine glow. Solomon's temple was not just a building, it was a symbol of power and faith, costing the equivalent of billions of dollars today. More than 180,000 men worked tirelessly for 7 years to construct this marvel. Picture the scene: massive rows of cedars from Lebanon, the most valuable wood of the time, descending the mountains toward Jerusalem. Phoenician artisans, the best in the ancient world, carving every detail with astonishing skill. The sound of hammers and chisels echoed day and night as enormous stones, the size of modern houses, were moved using techniques so advanced that they still puzzle experts today. The size of the temple was unbelievable: 30 meters long, 10 meters wide, and 15 meters high in the main hall. But what truly stood out was its interior. The walls were covered in gold from floor to ceiling. There was not a single spot without the gleam of the precious metal. Enormous statues of angels, carved from wood and coated in gold, guarded the Holy of Holies, their wings open, creating a sense of mystery and reverence. The priest's courtyard was adorned with rare stones, each from a different region. At the temple entrance, 2 enormous pillars called Jachin and Boaz stood out, decorated with bronze pomegranates and chains, symbols of Solomon's kingdom's strength. At the heart of the temple was the Holy of Holies, a cube-shaped room measuring 10 meters on each side, where the Ark of the Covenant was kept. This place was so sacred that only the high priest could enter, and only once a year, on the Day of Atonement. The scent of incense filled the air, mixing with the fragrance of cedarwood, creating a unique and unforgettable atmosphere. To keep everything running, Solomon organized a shift system. 24 groups of priests took turns ensuring that the rituals never stopped. Each group had a specific role, such as keeping the lampstands lit or preparing the sacred bread, with teams rotating every week. And this is just the beginning. You will see how Solomon used supernatural powers to imprison demons, the secret rituals of his 1,000 wives in the palace, and the mysterious practices that took place far from the public's view. If you believe that God still performs miracles in your life, write in the comments, "The temple of God is within me." At dawn, even before the first rays of sunlight touched the temple's golden walls, a sound began to echo through the sacred corridors. The clanking of the bronze gates opening marked the start of another day full of activities. The Levites, organized in groups, began their duties with strict discipline. The first task of the day was cleaning, an act considered as important as the sacrifices themselves. Imagine hundreds of servants moving in unison, some carrying golden jars filled with water, others sweeping the courtyards with specially made brooms. The marble floors were cleaned with such care that people said you could see your own reflection in them. The temple musicians, known for their exceptional skill, took their places in the courtyards, their harps, drums and trumpets produced melodies so beautiful that they could be heard even beyond the walls of Jerusalem. Each song was chosen for a specific moment of the day, following instructions left by King David himself. In the outer courtyards, authorized merchants traded animals for sacrifices, but it was not an ordinary marketplace. Each animal had to pass a rigorous inspection by the priests to ensure it was perfect and suitable to be offered to God. Prices were adjusted so that even the poorest could participate in the rituals. A system of water channels, considered a great achievement of ancient engineering, ensured a constant supply of water for the temple's various needs. Water was essential not only for cleansing, but also for sacred rituals. The Sea of Bronze, a massive tank supported by 12 metal oxen, stored enough water for all daily activities. The priests followed a meticulous purification ritual before beginning their duties. They wore special linen garments stored in designated places. Each piece of clothing had a meaning and had to be put on in order, accompanied by prayers. Behind the scenes of the temple, a vast structure operated non-stop. Bakers baked the sacred bread in special ovens, following a recipe passed down through generations. Perfumers prepared the sacred incense, whose formula was a secret as well guarded as the temple's treasures. If this message touched your heart, like it now as an act of faith so that God may bring blessings into your life. Still in this video, you will discover how he controlled supernatural forces with his magic ring and the seduction rituals that turned the palace into a place of forbidden pleasures. The harem that changed history. What you will learn about the greatest king of antiquity will reveal secrets that few have dared to tell, a story of power, desire, and consequences that still affect the present. Imagine a palace so vast that it could house 1,000 women, each with her own quarters, servants, and customs. Solomon's harem was not just a place of entertainment, but also a political center, where the future of many kingdoms was decided. 700 wives from noble families and 300 concubines, each representing an alliance with distant lands. The pharaoh's daughter held the highest rank, living in a palace built especially for her, decorated with Egyptian motifs and the most luxurious furnishings. Her entourage included hundreds of servants, musicians, and dancers from the Nile. Her garments were made of linen so fine that they were said to be almost transparent. The princesses of Moab brought rare perfumes, while the women of Sidon were known for weaving valuable purple fabrics. Each group maintained its own traditions, creating an environment rich in cultural diversity. The harem functioned like a small city with its own organization. The wives lived on the upper floors, overlooking the flower-filled gardens. The concubines stayed on the lower floors, still luxurious but less extravagant. Each woman had a royal seal, allowing her to manage business and communicate with her homeland. Scribes recorded everything about the wives and concubines, their origins, dowries received, gifts exchanged, and most importantly, the children born of these unions. Running the harem required many staff members, butlers, guards, cooks, musicians, doctors, and midwives. The harem's routine was filled with rules. Older, respected women acted as messengers, organizing communication between different areas. No wife could visit another without permission to avoid conflicts and conspiracies. What comes next reveals the deepest mysteries of Solomon's palace, where each night was a unique event of romance and beauty. The preparations for a night with the king began at sunrise. The chosen woman was discreetly informed by a messenger, initiating a long ritual that lasted the entire day. First, she was taken to the House of Purifications, a place dedicated exclusively to beauty care. There, she bathed in 7 different pools, each infused with special oils: myrrh, aloes, cassia, and cinnamon. Her attendants, usually 7 in number, took care of every detail. Her hair was washed with perfumed oils and combed with ivory combs adorned with precious stones. Her skin was treated with a secret mixture of honey, goat's milk, and rare oils, a recipe passed down by the harem women for generations. Her nails were painted with henna, forming intricate designs that depicted love stories in ancient symbols. The knight's attire was chosen with great care, made of fabrics so fine they seemed like a spider's masterpiece, dyed with rare colors extracted from shells and valuable minerals. The jewelry was selected not only for its beauty, but also for its significance and power of attraction. The king's chamber was prepared with the same meticulous attention. Golden containers burned special perfume blends, creating an enchanting atmosphere. Flower petals were scattered over silk sheets, and oil lamps were positioned to provide soft and captivating lighting. Musicians, skilled in love songs, played in nearby rooms, performing melodies inspired by the Song of Songs. The notes were as sweet as honey, setting a mood of romance and mystery. The chosen woman was then taught about love by older and wiser women who shared secrets passed down through generations. Every gesture, every word, and every movement was carefully trained to create a unique and unforgettable experience. If this message has touched your heart, show your faith by commenting "God's love is greater." Stay tuned, because what comes next will surprise you. You will discover how Solomon used supernatural powers to control demons, the secret rituals of his 1,000 wives on palace nights, and the mysterious practices that took place away from the people's eyes. In the heart of Jerusalem, the Song of Songs echoed through the palace corridors, a love poem so powerful that it became part of the sacred scriptures. In it, Solomon portrayed a vision of love that blended the physical and the spiritual, where human passion reflected God's love. The women of the harem came from different cultures, each bringing their own traditions of seduction. The Egyptian women were masters of belly dancing, moving like serpents to the sound of golden instruments. The Phoenicians knew how to craft perfumes that enchanted the senses, while the Moabites were known for their romantic songs that touched the heart. The palace had secret gardens where water fountains ran between vineyards and pomegranate trees. There, the women learned from one another, exchanging knowledge about aromatic herbs, dance steps, and the art of good conversation. Each culture brought its own vision of beauty and pleasure. Musical instruments were used only for romantic songs, soft, harps with silk strings, drums that echoed like heartbeats, flutes that sounded like passionate sighs. Music was seen as a form of magic that could open hearts. Never before in history had a royal court seen such fierce competition for the love of one man. What you are about to learn about the rivalries within Solomon's harem reveals a power struggle that changed the future of a kingdom. In the vast harem, each woman had her own strategy to capture the king's attention. Some stood out for their intelligence, engaging in discussions about politics and knowledge. Others excelled in the arts, writing poetry, crafting unique perfumes, or performing enchanting dances. The competition was discreet but intense. Some women formed alliances, forging bonds that extended beyond the palace walls. A clever concubine could gain power by befriending influential wives. The servants played an important role in this game. They carried secret messages, observed everything in the corridors, and reported back to their mistresses. A well-timed comment could change the fate of a favorite. Gifts were constantly exchanged, each with a hidden meaning: special cup of wine, a poem written on scented papyrus, a jewel with mysterious symbols. Everything was part of a secret language of power and seduction. The most intelligent women knew that true power came from knowledge. They studied the king's preferences, his thoughts on the kingdom, his moods, and his habits. Some became close advisors, influencing the king's decisions through intimate conversations. To receive your blessing and change your life today, comment. Now, Amen. I deserve victory, Jesus. What you are about to discover about Solomon's children will reveal how Israel's greatest kingdom began to follow a story of love, power, and choices that changed everything. Despite having 1,000 wives, the Bible mentions only one son of Solomon, Rehoboam. But historians believe that many other children were born in the king's harem. Each birth was politically significant, strengthening alliances between nations and ensuring the continuity of the royal lineage. The king's children lived in their own world. Teachers from distant lands taught them languages, knowledge, and culture. The mothers competed to provide the best education for their children, knowing that wisdom brought power. Hebrew masters upheld Israel's traditions, while instructors from other regions taught different customs. Rehoboam, the son of Naamah the Ammonite, grew up in this environment of contrasts. On one hand, he learned the laws of Moses like every Israelite on the other. He was exposed to the mysterious customs of the harem women. This blend of influences would ultimately have a negative impact on his reign. The king's children rarely saw their father. Solomon, always occupied with matters of the kingdom and divided among many wives, left the education of his heirs to their mothers and teachers. Each wife wanted her son to resemble her, creating conflicts within the palace. Gradually, the royal residence became a place of many beliefs. Each woman brought not only her beauty, but also her gods. The pharaoh's daughter worshipped Isis and Osiris in rooms filled with Egyptian symbols. The women of Sidon burned incense to Astarte in hidden temples. The Moabite women performed rituals for Chemosh under the moonlight. At first, Solomon allowed these practices as a diplomatic strategy, but over time, enchanted by the affection of his wives and his thirst for knowledge, he began to take part in these rituals. He ordered the construction of altars for foreign gods on the hills near Jerusalem, each more luxurious than the last. This brought severe consequences. The people, seeing the king worshipping other gods, began to doubt their own faith. Priests and prophets warned of divine wrath, but their words were drowned out by the sound of pagan drums and the festivities of the harem. A spiritual conflict began to grow in the nation. The temple of God still stood at the center of Jerusalem, but small shrines dedicated to idols appeared everywhere, like weeds in the palace gardens. The scent of sacred incense mixed with the exotic aromas of idolatrous rituals. Having 1,000 wives was not just a matter of love, it was an enormous cost. Each royal woman demanded a luxurious life, with servants, jewelry, fine clothing, and rare foods. The royal treasury, once filled with gold, began to run dry. To sustain this lifestyle, taxes were raised. The people, once proud of the kings, wisdom, started complaining about the heavy burdens. Forced labor was imposed to maintain the palaces and temples, sparking revolt among the tribes. In the harem, disputes grew as the king aged. Younger wives fought for attention, while the older ones struggled to maintain their status. Rumors of betrayal spread through the golden corridors of the palace. If you believe that God can change any situation, write "Restore, Lord." Ancient writings speak of Solomon's ring, a special object engraved with God's sacred name. It is said that with this ring, he commanded spirits and demons, using them in the construction of the temple and the palace. Every massive stone, every cedar beam, was supposedly transported by supernatural forces under his command. Some accounts claim that demons themselves served the king. Some acted as messengers, traveling great distances in seconds. Others revealed secrets of nature, teaching the medicinal use of herbs and minerals. The Testament of Solomon, an ancient text, tells how he interrogated evil spirits, learning their names, powers, and weaknesses. This knowledge was supposedly recorded in secret books, sought after by magicians and scholars throughout the ages. But despite his mystical power, Solomon knew that everything came from God. He understood that his authority over spiritual forces came only from the Lord and used this gift to glorify him. If you believe in God's supernatural power, write in the comments, God's power is supreme. Like this video now and declare, my faith is firm in God. Let this action be proof of your trust in him. Click on the suggested video on the screen to discover the 7 secret signs that reveal you are chosen. And may God bless us.